Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, class. This is Professor Coyote. Welcome you back to our Let's Play of Civilization 6. Now, as I said we were doing last video, we're going to get right into our tutorial. That way to give a general brush up, both for me and for anyone who hasn't actually done Civilization before. So let's get right to it. I'm going to stay generally quiet for when the tooltips are saying things, so you guys can get an earful of that. Then I'm just going to make some general stuff, see what we're doing, go from there. All right, let's go right into the tutorial. Boop, right there.
From the maelstrom of sand, wind, and fire, our people emerge and arrive here. A new world, one ripe with great possibility. And even greater dangers. Here our people stand, their destinies unwritten. Will they push forward into greatness? Or see themselves lost to the ages? Their fate lies in your hands.
Okay, going right through that cinematic there, which we've got to enjoy the multicultural barbarians there. A good mix of African, Asian, and others. And getting the full dulcet tones of Sean Bean. Now, as we know, this is a historical, not a fantasy, which is why he doesn't die horribly in this. But we always like hearing that, right? Good old Sean Bean. So what we're going to do here for Civ 6, for the tutorial, is I'm going to go with the Egyptians here. That's just kind of personal preference. I've always kind of been fond of Egyptian kind of culture and mythology. So we'll get right here with Cleopatra.
From the first stirrings of life beneath water, to the great beasts of the Stone Age, to man taking his first upright steps, you have come far. Now begins your greatest quest. From this early cradle of civilization on towards the stars. There will be those who underestimate you, but you are cunning and full of tricks, Queen Cleopatra. Your charm will establish indestructible alliances with the strongest leaders of the world. Keep your friends close by your side, and you will find yourself untouchable, with the glory of Egypt primed to win over the world.
Alright, so, as we see here, what it says, I'm not sure if this is just a tutorial or if this is Egypt in general, but we get trade routes to other civilizations that produce +4 gold for Egypt. That's, of course, gold makes everything go running smoothly. And other civilizations' trade routes provide you food and money for Egypt, so you're basically a trading center here. They also get the benefit of production towards districts and wonders. That's going to be inside the actual cities themselves. You'll see what those gears go. And you have a couple of unique improvements in land units. Now, before we start here, I actually really like the art styling of Civ 6. I generally like it of Civ in general. As you can see here with Cleopatra, she isn't the all-stunning Elizabeth Taylor kind of archetypical beauty that civilizations, or should I say culture itself, usually paints Cleopatra. After all, Cleopatra would be the product of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a bunch of Greeks who married into and took over Egypt. So there have actually been a lot of documents and some coinage to show that Cleopatra may not have been the stunning beauty, but this one seems to be more towards that ideal here. So let's begin the game, and as I said, and we'll get to the tooltips.
Welcome, Cleopatra. Our people's fate lies in your hands. Great is the responsibility placed upon you. Perhaps I may be of service.
Oh, perhaps you might. Oh, and one thing that I remembered that I just said wrong, actually, in my previous video, that actually a friend of mine helped remind me, was that Baba Yato was actually in Civ 4, not Civ 5. I kind of goofed there. And although there apparently are some abilities to be able to make Baba Yato your background music for Civ 5, yeah. But anyway, So let's get started here. You can see here there's a bunch of mountains and a couple of rivers. I'm not sure if this is actually going to be based off of Egypt itself or just some generalized kind of Mediterranean. But you see here we've got a settler unit. Of course, that's going to be where you actually start your cities. And let's see what that's suggesting here.
For too long we have roamed this world without a land to call our own. It is time we put down roots.
Yep, definitely time to put down roots. Now, just to remind people, for those of you who haven't actually played Civ before, this isn't actually a real-time game. I can take as long as I want figuring things out. But basically, I make my decisions for my unit and my cities that will happen later, and then you hit that big old exclamation point, and it goes to the next turn, where additional civilizations get to take their turns. This is actually going to be much different from other games, as a lot of those games have started to kind of go out of the turn-based kind of format. There are still a few others. I know that the Shadowrun Returns games have stayed that sort of turn-based kind of strategy. But for this kind, if you might be more used to a game like Europa Universalis, that goes real-time, this turn-based actually is a little bit more flexible than that because it gives you time to go, oops, I goofed up, and actually without having to have the enemies rail upon you. So, we'll select the settler like it says.
Our brave settlers await your command. We should found our first city here.
Alright, that's what we'll do. We'll hit continue. And then there's that found a city thing. You see here, move to, skip turn, sleep. I believe that plus gives you some more options. For now, we'll just found the city.
From the seeds of the small city shall you grow an empire. But to truly thrive, we must first see to the needs of our people.
Yes, we must. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if this tutorial will show us what some of these do, but it looks like we have water. Let's see. I believe that the music is culture. Not sure what the wings do, and then gold. Those will be different currencies to use for the future. But for now, we have our city here. Boop. The city is the cornerstone of any great civilization. And the city's size is represented by the head here, population, indicated to the left of its nameplate. You see this big giant 1 here means that it's a population of 1. The star also indicates this is your capital. Each city also claims the surrounding lands for your exclusive control. These lands are indicated by the colored borders surrounding the city. See the gold there? The unique features within your borders have a profound influence on the potential strengths of each city. Now, it used to be in several versions of Civ that this hex here was it, but it looks like it's starting to actually spread out a bit more. So we'll see how that goes.
Though small now, our city will continue to grow if you allow it to. Its fate and that of our people depend upon you.
Okay. You must choose how each city in your civilization is to grow and expand over time, improving the land you control and creating new buildings and districts within your borders. That's a choose production.
We are fortunate that the land surrounding our city is rich in resources. Developing it will be key to our survival.
Yes, it will be. You can see there's a couple of resource icons here. And as it says, each city generates a variety of yields at the start of every turn. These are obtained from the hexes that city controls. This is showing you your food and your building. And then these have certain things. Like, I believe that's coffee, which gives you some of those purple ones. Here we are. Each hex within your city borders provide a number of yields to help you advance your civilization. Food, that's the corn, and production, that's the gears, are 2 of these yields. Foods fuel city growth, increasing its population, more food, faster growth, and production is used to build new items, like military units and city upgrades. The more production your city has, the faster you can build things. So that's where you get that balance from. The more your food that your people can eat, the quicker they grow, balanced out with the improvements to their way of life and building up your city. So, of course, you want to see a good balance of food and production in your general cities. I mean, there are some cities, some strategies that you want to found cities in high productions and just make that your big old production, cranking out your military units. But you generally also need kind of a decent enough population to be able to do that. So, we'll see how this goes from here. However, each hex will need to be worked by your population in order to obtain the yield in that hex. Each citizen can work one hex within your borders.
We are blessed to have such bountiful lands within our borders. Still, a civilization is comprised of people, not just Earth.
Growing your city's population is very important in order to take advantage of all the yields from the surrounding lands. So that's why I'm saying with that balance of even in a military or high production thing, you want to have enough people to be able to get on all those gears.
Such lands will surely draw the attention of the barbarian raiders plaguing this area. We must prepare to fight back if we are to survive.
Indeed.
Our city requires warriors.
All right. And this will be showing how you build people. Well, sorry, military people. So you have the production here.
If our people are to survive in these lands, we must focus their efforts. Only then can we master this world.
All right. And what it looks like here is we've got some tooltips. The advisor head there recommending what we want to focus on. So we could focus on building a monument, but it's also saying that we kind of need to build military, too. So this says, this is the city's production chooser. From here, you can construct buildings, create wonders of the world, and train military and civilian units.
Our people's protection is our utmost concern. Direct your city towards the creation of a warrior.
So what it looks like here is, because of this tutorial, it's even kind of going against what its own suggestions would be. So it wants us to build a warrior, so bink! Oh, sorry. I had to wait for it to actually say you could do that, so bink!
Training has commenced. Already our people feel more secure.
And you can see here that it'll give you some stats on what the warrior can do, and it'll show you how long until that particular thing you're building is done. It'll also show you how long down here the population growth. So this will turn into a population of 2 in about 5 turns, just in time for that warrior to be finished.
Our empire will not be built overnight. We have accomplished all we can this day.
Right, since we don't have any people out building yet or focusing on any sort of things, this is when we would do the next turn here. So, Civilization is a turn-based game where decisions are made and actions performed during a game turn, much like playing a board game with friends. Once all the other players have made their moves, a new turn will begin. Building items in your city takes time. The number of game turns it'll take is indicated on each item in the menu. They mean is the production menu. This is calculated based on the production cost of the item versus the production that your city yields. The higher the yield, the fewer turns it'll take to build. So because of the fact we only have one person to actually do any production, which will basically focus here on the middle, this is why the warrior takes 5 turns, as we don't have enough people actually producing it. In fact, it looks like we're only doing 5.3 production a turn, and then that gets applied to the warrior. We'll hit OK here, and then hit next turn.
Our warriors continue to train. But if we are to be more than the barbarian tribes we defend against, we must explore other areas of development.
Alright, so it looks like it's going in research here. This is how you advance up the tech tree in Civ, is while you're doing all your exploring and your building up of your cities and armies, your researchers going on in the background will have stuff that they're doing. Like, here, we'll see what kind of... We'll choose the research here.
There are those among us with minds adept at unlocking the world's secrets. We need only guide them.
The technological advancement of your people is attained through research. By completing research on technologies, you'll unlock new ways to exploit the land, new military units, new city upgrades, and much more. All right. So what's showing here is some of the tech that will happen. It looks like you just got Dawn of Civilization, which means probably no research whatsoever. And then it'll show you the options we have on the tech tree. I'll show you a tech tree later. Looks like that's not unlocked in this tutorial yet, but I can at least hover over these things and see what this can do. Like Animal Husbandry here, it needs 16 science. That's going to be the research that you're showing. In fact, that's what that little bubble there is, showing how much research that you make currently. It allows cattle and sheep, which gives you more options, and then unlocks further things. Astrology here unlocks some buildings. Looks like it unlocks a shrine, Stonehenge, and a holy site. This will show you the things that'll go next. It's mining here, which allows us to harvest copper, which will give us another resource to exploit. And then pottery here allows harvesting wheat and rice. That'll probably be what we go for after mining, if this game's smart. It'll show you how long it takes to actually complete that research. So mining here will take 5. And then you see here, some of these do have a requirement, like astrology is find a natural wonder, which we'll see one of those later, and sailing is found a city on the coast. That way we can go out into the Mediterranean and beyond. But for right now, like it says, we'll take mining. Boop.
Excellent. As our people's understanding of the Earth increases, so too will our ability to harness its riches and increase our production capabilities. We must give them time to do their work.
Okay. Just as building new units is fueled by production, researching new technologies is fueled by science. Each city in your empire generates a small amount of science per turn. How quickly your research projects are completed is determined by the total of all the science generated by your cities. The more science you generate, the faster you research new technologies. This is showing what we're doing and also some other another thing that we're researching in the background as well. Looks like code of laws. All right. Now, as you can see here, even in the tutorial, and this is actually going to be correct how it goes on in the game itself, it's going to kind of be a bit slow in the beginning because you only have a few things you're going to be able to do, so you're going to go through those turns really rapidly. I mean, as you can see here, we only actually just did our research this turn, whereas we're waiting for our warriors to go, and the research itself is going to take 5 turns. So we're going right here to the next turn. Boop.
Barbarian raiders approach our city. We are surely too prized a target for them to ignore.
Yeah, this is going to suck. Alright, so we'll see what happens here. It's probably going to be they're going to raid us and take some stuff. But as you can see, we have a base defense here, at least, of the actual city.
We cannot allow these savages to pillage and destroy all we have built. Our warriors have completed their training. Let us commit them to battle.
Ah, okay, I see here. It looks like they skipped it ahead due to wanting to show battle in the actual game. So that's good. For the purpose of this tutorial, we have rushed the production of this unit. Normally, the production would have taken several more turns to complete. So basically, your strategy here is you want to make sure that you're always building the defense you need, because unlike some games, you won't be able to crank them out that quickly unless you have high production. Like, for instance, in here, the warriors would have normally taken 5, but for basically teaching purposes, they bopped them out right now. So we'll hit OK. We got the warrior here.
Warriors are the blade with which we will strike down our enemy. They need only your hand to guide them.
Right, military units can attack enemy units by moving into their hex. Right-click on the barbarian unit to attack it. Try doing that now. Alright, so our guys go here, and boom, he's dead! Yay!
Victory! The barbarians have learned we are not a people to be trifled with. Still, they will return, and next time I fear they will not take us so lightly.
Well, that's what they get for only sending one dude. Alright.
We should take advantage of this lull in hostilities. With our warriors now prepared, we may focus our production capabilities towards the city itself.
Okay, so what it looks like it's saying is, because we've got enough people right now, we can start doing production stuff for the city itself rather than keep cranking out more units. This, of course, depends upon your strategy. There's definitely the offense is the best defense kind of idea where I might have wanted to hex out warrior after warrior, but then again, there gets that time balance. If I have a good enough production, then I might be able to put out more warriors sooner. Later. But we're going to go along with how the tutorial here says. Another thing you might actually notice is it looks like we've got a fog of war kind of thing going here. That we haven't actually seen some of these hexes here, the ones that are a little more cartoony and not in color. These are ones that we don't know yet, whereas the full in-color ones are stuff that we've seen or can see and get a general idea of some of the terrain and the like. Tasks which must be completed before you end your turn will appear in the notification panel in the bottom right of the screen. That way you can't skip it. Since production is finished in the city, you get a reminder that you need to choose the next thing to produce before you can end your turn. Now, this is a really good thing that this does this, because I have played way too many games where, oh, I meant to do that one thing, oh, I could have done that one thing, let's just go to next turn anyway. So at least having this kind of, here, you might want to do this first, is always handy. So hit there, required actions. In fact, I even made it required now.
Our city are fertile. Yet as of now, they lie undeveloped. We must create a workforce if we are to make the most of the resources within our borders.
Okay. So we see here, the units here, there's your basic ideas of warrior and ranged combat. Scout is how you can actually see more of the lands here. We've got a settler here, which, as you can see here, this is how you actually make more cities, but you need to have a population in order to be able to actually go and settle more places. Because you can't just pick this up and go else. You would need to have another one. So what I was recommending here is the builder. This is how we basically make reinforcements in here, later roads, improvements, that kind of thing. So we'll hit the builder here.
Excellent. The skills these builders will attain will dramatically improve our civilization.
Indeed. A builder unit has been added to the city's production queue. It will take several turns to complete its training. Since there are no remaining decisions that need to be made this turn, the next turn button is displayed. Let's hit here, okay. And then it's saying go next turn. And then
while our builders train to improve life within our borders, we must not ignore the lands beyond them. The only way to truly master this world is to understand it.
At the beginning of the game, your city and the lands immediately around it are revealed, like I was saying. But the areas beyond, represented by blank parchment, indicate parts of the world you have not yet explored.
Beyond combat, our warriors make for ideal explorers in this uncertain and hostile world. You need only give the word, and they shall set forth into the unknown.
Well, to be honest, obviously, because this is a tutorial, it's saying to use the warriors. Generally, you'd want to use a scout for doing that, because they can move quicker, and you would want to have your warriors there just for offensive, defensive purposes. But, since it's saying that, warrior units have a movement range of 2. The blue-colored indicator, shown on the lands around the unit, displays the furthest the selected unit can move in a single turn.
Alone, on foot, the wildlands take a heavy toll on our troops.
That would be these.
Perhaps there is a smoother path.
Open terrain, like plains and grassland, only consume 1 movement point, whereas more difficult terrain, like woods and hills and mountains, will consume 2 or more movement points. Move the warrior unit to the highlighted location by right-clicking. Alright, they want us to go there, so...
Already our warriors' efforts bear fruit. They have come upon a small tribal village.
Here's where we conquer the tribes for our own benefits, because of course, don't worry about those other ones. We'll conquer them or assimilate them later. Alright. Exploring tribal villages can give your civilization one of many instant benefits, like granting an additional population in your city, or awarding gold. It is a good strategy to explore as many tribal villages as possible. And the tutorial will say this later, but going with some tribal villages, you can actually get a leg up on some of your research as well. You can get a idea or a technology that they had because parallel Genesis, or they just went a different direction, and I'll add it to yours so you don't have to worry about it. So let's continue here.
This people seem different from the barbarian tribes we encountered. Perhaps we should make contact instead of combat.
No, seriously. Of course, there will be some that you will have to end up actually killing in order to get their benefits, whereas some of them like this, you'll just run over and boom. Since your warrior unit has used all of its movement points, it is done with actions this turn, meaning that next turn I'll be able to run into those guys. Production and research tasks are still in progress, so there are no other decisions to be made. Alright. So, movements are also its actions. So, if I had one movement point left, I'd be able to run into the tribal village, but I can't, so I won't. So we'll go to next turn.
Our warriors stand before the village gates. They await your command to enter.
Alright. Now, what this is also showing is, as you can see here, there's barbarians approach, warning me that there's barbarians somewhere. So I'll probably want to get this and then head back home pretty quickly.
It would seem friendship has its rewards. Our success against the barbarians has reached this village. Impressed by our culture, they wish to rise up against their oppressors and join us in the fight against the Horde.
Because, of course, they do. Alright, so it looks like that we got a scout here. That's why I was saying that the scout will be your recon. They'll be the one running around quicker to clear up this map and see any sort of more villages we want to run into, or where the barbarian hordes are coming from, or where the other actual civilizations will be that we'll want to destroy and conquer and that kind of thing. So hit over here. All tribal villages will grant a reward when explored by a player. This tribal village has granted you a new scout unit, which has appeared in your city. That's the puppy there.
Though not skilled in the ways of combat, this tribe possess a great knowledge of the land. Their ability to move through the terrain quickly makes them ideal scouts. We should put them to good use.
So, it looks like a good benefit is that we took over this village, we assimilated that tribe, and now we're farming them out to go scout for us. Notice the scout unit has a movement of 3, allowing it to a greater distance than other movements. Move the scout unit toward an undiscovered part of the map. So, we want to probably go here. Okay.
We should employ these scouts with caution. They are excellent explorers, but poor warriors. It would be wise for them to avoid battle whenever possible.
Yeah, so you don't want them to wade right into a barbarian horde, but they can probably take out another scout. So we'll go that way. As you say here, there's some fish showing up. And he's just kind of hanging out there. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here for our first day. We're going to next video, we're going to continue our tutorial. I'm actually going to write the tutorial all the way out. That way we get a good idea, because this is going to give you everything that you need to know. But for here, I'm going to cut it here, and I will see you in the next video, and I'll see you in the next class. Have a great day. This has been Professor Coyote.